we are wrapping up our series that I pretty much lost count. I think the last 6 weeks or 7 weeks, we were talking about God's church and things that actually matter. Not because I ran out of things that actually matter, but just it's time. It's time to wrap up one series and get on to something else. But before we get into that, I just wanted to share a personal story with you. There was one time I was helping a friend to move into a new house, and so we were just moving stuff in, and I just asked him if he was happy with the house, and because the house, like any house, it was not perfect. He said, yeah. His response was, it'll work. We'll make it a home. And I was like, interesting. Because there's two things, a house and a home. And we've all moved into new houses before. And during the search stage, we try to find a perfect house. And as we're doing this, we're looking at several different things, and maybe many different things. Is it big enough? Is it in a good location? Is it a good neighborhood? Does it have a good layout that fits our family and our preferences? Does it have a garage that's big enough? Does it have a backyard? Are we happy with the backyard? Many, many other things. But that's what we do during the search stage. We'll look at different things about the house. But then, after we move in, we move on. I thought you'd be very proud of me, just move in, move on. Did you notice what I did there? This is not my native language, come on. But after we move in, we move on from looking for a perfect house to making a home where we grow up, grow old, where we raise children, where we go through good and bad days together, where we spend holidays, celebrate holidays and birthdays, where we spend time with our friends, where we laugh and cry together, where we build memories. So, why am I talking about houses and homes? Well, this process kind of reminds me of how some people view church. And because there's some people, they would spend years kind of visiting churches, comparing churches, trying to find the perfect church, which kind of perfectly meets all my needs, where they have music that I like, where the preacher just knocks it out of the park every single time, the church that has friendly people in it, the church that has good children's program, and whatever else is important. But they spend all these years trying to find the perfect church, but never planting roots. And their quest for finding that perfect church, it never ends. So I think what we all have to remember, and especially if you're finding yourself in a spot of people like that, I think we all have to remember that even if you manage to find something even close to being perfect, eventually, every church will eventually disappoint you. Because churches are not made of perfect people. The churches are made of forgiven people who are still in the process of becoming like Christ. So maybe, this is what I wanted to talk about at the end of the series. So maybe we're asking the wrong question. Maybe instead of asking the question, is this a church that perfectly matches my preferences? Maybe we should ask the question, is this a biblical church where God is calling me to belong, to grow, to serve, and to help others follow Jesus? Because just like with a house, which is never perfect, if you've bought houses, you move to different houses, not a single house is ever perfect. So Just like a house that's never perfect, but can be made into a home, the church becomes a home, not because it perfectly matches our preferences, but because there's God's people who commit themselves to Christ, to his mission, and to one another. God never intended that his people would merely attend the church. That was not his intention. He intended that they would belong to his family and help build it. So there are several things that I wanted us to look at today regarding the church, regarding the church's role and the church becoming our home or being our home. Do we really view it as our home? Because sometimes we may attend a church, but never make it our home. And sometimes that can happen for years. The first passage we're going to look at is in Ephesians 2:19. We'll read from NLT translation. And this is what Paul says. So now you Gentiles are no longer strangers and foreigners. You are citizens along with all of God's holy people. You are members of God's family. So Paul is writing to the Christians in Ephesus. Basically, they're not Jews, they're Gentiles. And so the main idea of that he's trying to carry across is that God did not save you into an organization. God did not save you into a structure. God saved you into a family. He's at the very end of that passage. He says, you are members of God's family. So he's writing to these Gentiles. They used to be outsiders. They were not a part of the nation of Israel. So all the time, all they could do was just to look from the outside in. And they were all separated. They were separated from this being a part of God's people. Can you imagine how excited they were to read these words? Hey, now, because of Jesus Christ, you are no longer foreigners. You're no longer aliens. You don't have to be on the outside. You can be a part of God's family. Christ made this possible for you. Now you're members of God's family. So through Jesus Christ, God made us a part of the family. And we can either embrace that and belong to God's church, or we can keep acting like outsiders. But that was Paul's intent and what he was trying to tell the Christians in Ephesus. Guys, you got a lot of reasons to be excited about, and one of the reasons is that you are a part of God's church, family. The next passage that we're going to look at is in Acts chapter 2, verses 42 through 47. And we're going to talk about the fact that families, they grow through commitment. Families grow through commitment. Let's read this together. Verse 42. All the believers devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship and to sharing it in meals, including the Lord's Supper, and to prayer. A deep sense of awe came over them all, and the apostles performed many miraculous signs and wonders. And all the believers met together in one place and shared everything they had. They sold their property and possessions and shared the money with those in need. They worshiped together at the temple each day. They met in homes for the Lord's Supper and shared their meals with great joy and generosity, all the while praising God and enjoying the goodwill of all the people. And each day the Lord added to their fellowship those who were being saved. So Luke is writing this and giving us the description of what was happening right in the very first weeks of when the church started in Jerusalem. And he's saying, giving us this picture of a lot of interaction and a lot of things that are happening. But what you see is that the people were together. And a lot of contemporary Christians, they read this passage with some sort of nostalgia. They're like, oh, I wish that was happening in my church. A lot of Christians today, they feel like they just They go to church on Sunday, they walk in, they walk out, that's all. That's all their Christian interaction for the week. They're reading this passage, they're like, this sounds really cool. Sounds like they were united. Sounds like they had a lot of things in common. Well, it can be that way. But there's one key ingredient to it, and that ingredient is commitment. Notice what the beginning of this passage says. They devoted themselves. They devoted themselves to a lot of different things. So this is a decision. It wasn't casual for them. They were not acting like consumers who showed up to get something and then leave. They made a decision to devote themselves. They were acting not like consumers, but like the people who belonged, who were a part of those things, and like people who committed themselves. So believers in the early church, they committed themselves to several different things, as we read in this passage. They'd committed themselves to teaching. They committed themselves to fellowship. They committed themselves to prayer, to worship, to being generous and supporting the church and other believers in their needs. They committed themselves to sharing meals together. Whoa, that means, when you read that means somebody had to open up their home, and somebody had to spend money and buy groceries and spend time making a meal and invite somebody. So there's a lot of inconveniences to go through, but they were committed to those things, meeting in each other's homes, and they were committed to the mission. And notice what happened, because we're reading this. I know this is like, oh, this is too many things to add to my schedule. This is too many things to add to my already busy life. I'm not sure. I'm kind of hesitant. I don't know if I want to do this. I'm not sure if I want to have this present in my life. But notice what happened as a result of their commitment. They grew closer in their relationship as a family. The needs of the people were met. The people in need, they received help. People were saved. And the church grew in numbers. The Lord added to their number daily. The church grows healthy when people are committed to the right things. I was just recently talking to somebody who is not a member of the church. And this person was sharing some stuff from their life, and they were telling me about a divorce that the son went through. And the person made a comment, and the comment, was about marriages. Marriages today and marriages in the past. And this is what the comment was. That person said, this generation, speaking of the son, this generation throws in the towel right away. It's not what it used to be when people were committed to working things out and to sticking together through good and bad. And I'm not making this statement, like telling you about this comment, it's not a matter of you may agree or disagree. This is a very subjective statement. I don't know how to evaluate and establish whether it's true or not. It's just an illustration that stood out to me. And the comment, it just kind of sounded like a statement about a commitment issues. The reason that it kind of stood out to me was that I wonder if the Christians, or many Christians today, or some Christians today, have commitment issue. Instead of being committed to your church family, to its mission, to really sticking through it, to work things out, whether they go good or bad, sometimes people just throw in a towel right away, and they just walk away. And walk away to, like I said, a lot of people have this. It's not even, you guys here, you have churches on pretty much every corner, which could be a blessing, could also be a curse. Because this variety of options kind of makes it harder to be committed to one. Because if you don't like something in this church, there's a church across the street. You can just get yourself up and go and try to find a different church where things are easier or you like things better. So I'm just wondering if this is one of the issues that as some Christians have today, is this commitment. You know, basically people just kind of throw in a towel at the sign of slightest disagreement, or, you know, there's something that comes up that they don't like, or there's even a hint of a tension or a conflict that's actually is solvable, you know, can be solved. You know, we all want to have what the early church had. We want the joy, we want the fellowship, we want the closeness, we want the feeling of true community, but it requires a commitment. In Psalm 92, verses 12 and 13, it says, "The righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will grow like a cedar of Lebanon. Planted in the house of the Lord, they will flourish in the courts of our God." This verse says that the righteous will flourish. Why? Because they're planted. Because the deep roots, they produce a lasting fruit. When the roots are deep, the fruit is going to be lasting. The righteous will flourish because they're planted. They're not like a tumbleweed that you see just rolling across the road. They're like a tree that has roots, and the roots go deep. And you know another thing about the roots? Roots take time. It takes time. Roots, having your roots and having your roots deep, it always takes time. Just like relationships take time, just like trust, and developing trust between you and another person always takes time. Just like friendships, they always take time. And many Christians, they never get to experience deep closeness and relationships because they're always looking for something better. So how does this apply to us? Like, you're sitting here listening to all this, saying, I'm not looking for another church. I don't know why you're talking about this, and I don't really know how this relates to me. Well, I think this applies not only to people, to new people to a church. I think this can easily be applied to some people who have been at the church or a part of the church for years, but they're kind of still sitting on the porch, looking in, but not really making a commitment, not stepping in, not making a decision to belong, still evaluating, still struggling to commit, still comparing, still wondering if this is a good decision or not. Because throughout the series, we kind of address the questions like, what is the church? What message should the church share? What authority should the church follow? What mission should drive it? How we should invest in the next generation, and how we should love. But now is the time to answer the question, what will I do with what I've learned? What will I do with what I have heard? So maybe today is the day for some of you to stop evaluating and start participating. Start becoming a member. Start committing, or make a decision to commit. And so there are several different things and commitments that we can make that can change the church from a house into home. You may make a decision to commit to growing. Don't simply attend the church on Sundays, which is good, but it's just not enough if that's all that's happening in your faith life. Commit to reading and studying the Bible. Commit to praying. I will pray consistently. I will make a decision to commit to grow spiritually, because spiritual growth is always intentional. Always. It's never accidental. You don't just walk around, doing life, and all of a sudden you realize that you've grown spiritually. Spiritual growth always is always intentional. It always takes effort on our part. Another thing you need to make a decision to commit is commit to relationships. How do you do that? Well, join a Bible study. I mean, this is the time of the year. We're going to be starting the life group signups soon. Yeah, we're getting ready to launch our life groups again. And some of you have not even stopped meeting and studying. Good job. Way to go. So join a life group. Invite people into your life. Commit to relationships. Invite people into your life. Learn people's names. Remember, we talked about this. We don't know a lot of people in the same church that we go to. So try and make a commitment. I will learn people's names. I will get to know them. Share meals together. Study God's Word together. Do life together. Laugh and cry. I mean, there's nothing more bonding when somebody shares the struggle that they're going through. It just helps you to bond and get closer and get to know people and what's happening behind the surface. Carry each other's burdens. Help each other. Another commitment is commitment to serve. Find your place and the role in the church. Join a ministry and use your gifts. God gave you the gifts to be used. And then commit to the mission. Commit to the mission of the church. Invite people. Give generously and consistently. Pray for people's salvation. Welcome people that come to the church. Celebrate the lives that have been changed. So, I don't know where all of you are, but I'm just saying that maybe it is time, maybe spiritually speaking, you were just kind of dating the church, maybe even flirting with the church. So it's time to stop doing that and become a family. Time to stop flirting and dating the church, and it's time to become a family. Ask yourself this question. Can I grow here? Can I serve here? Can I joyfully support the leadership and the direction of this church? Can I build meaningful relationships here? And can I be a part of the mission here? And if the answer is yes, the next step is, like I said, to commit and join the family. Not because it is a perfect church. It will never be a perfect church. But because you see that God is at work here. And so for some of you, maybe the next step is like, hey, I've been running away from God for too long, so I'm ready to make Him my Lord and Savior. I want to be baptized and proclaim Him the Lord of my life. Maybe this is your next step. So for somebody, maybe it's becoming a member, kind of placing membership, and we have Exploring New Life coming up soon in a couple of weeks. So maybe you need to do that and register. You're invited. Maybe for somebody, it's through joining a life group. You've been kind of staying away from that, so maybe this is the step that will help you to belong and to be a member here. Maybe for somebody, the next step is starting to serve. Maybe for somebody, it's a decision and commitment to give generously and consistently, because there is no church without people kind of supporting the mission that Jesus gave all of us. Maybe it is a decision to commit to working things out instead of just walking away, blowing up and just going and venting your frustrations to somebody you know. Maybe the next step is kind of investing yourself in building relationships with people, especially the people that you don't know very well. All of those things, they are decisions. They are the next steps that some of us need to make to become a part of the family, so that this church is not a house anymore, but a home. Because just like the house becomes a home when people commit to one another. In the same way, the church becomes a home when people commit to Christ, to his mission, and to his people. When we sing the last song, we'll have our prayer team in the back. If there are any prayer requests that you have, I want to encourage you, invite you to go see them. They will be more than happy to pray with you and pray for you. Let's pray.